Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
In the studio this morning is Peter Edwards, who's been along to the wonderful Shoreline Cinema and seen the film. What was the film you saw, Peter?
It was called... Oh, good morning, Nigel, first off.
You better come forward to that microphone or something. Wait on, I've just got to hit... There we are, now we're right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. Good on you.
Good morning, Nigel.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. Good morning to you. Bit drafty out there now.
It is, yeah. Certainly that wind sprung up.
Yes.
The film I went to see was a Chinese-American film called The Farewell.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, it's a subtitle film, and I'm not normally the best person to review a subtitle film because I find it quite the need to switch between what's going on the screen and the words which are appearing at the bottom of the screen is a bit annoying because inevitably you're missing things.
That's right.
Either you miss what's going on in the action.
Yes.
Or whilst you're looking at the action, you miss the words that are going through for the translation itself.
I'm exactly the same, Peter.
Well, yeah, it's annoying. You always feel you're going to miss something that's quite important. And in the case of The Farewell, this is somewhat unfortunate because we've got a film here which carries quite a strong message across the cultural divide, but it inevitably loses some of its impact in translation, lost in translation, dare I say.
Yes.
And only those who are fluent in both Mandarin and English will ever get the full meaning, full effect, the full benefit. It's a shame. But right at the beginning of the film, you get this on-screen message which says that the action is, quote, based on an actual lie, unquote. But the storyline itself is true. I think I better explain that.
You got me confused.
Yeah, the film, it's written and directed in America by a lady named Lulu Wang, which means nothing to me, I'm afraid. But it's based on a personal crisis for Wang herself. So there is the truth element of it. Yep. And she and her parents were living in New York when their much-loved grandmother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in China. And the family decided not to tell the grandmother of the condition so as to protect her and stop her from worrying during the rest of what would be perhaps a shorter life. And there is the lie.
Right. I see.
But the whole of the US-based family decamped to China.
Right.
For, if you like, the end of grandmother's life. And in the film itself, Wang's character, that's the writer and the individual on whom this story is based, she becomes somebody called Billy. And it's played on screen by the actress and rapper. Now, I've got to be careful. Awkwafina, I've never heard of her as a rapper. She's also known as Nora Lunn, and she has been seen in previous films, Crazy Rich Asians and Ocean's 8. I've seen neither of those films, so I can't really comment on that. But Billy has lived in America for most of her life and is appalled, absolutely appalled, that the family want to keep her grandmother's condition from her. But somewhat reluctantly, she agrees that she will keep the secret. Now, apparently this form of lying by omission is fairly common in China when they're dealing with the impending death of a loved one. And Billy, but unfortunately with her Americanized way, she speaks both Chinese, obviously Mandarin and English, she finds it a very difficult thing to accept. And of course, the whole of the family suddenly arriving in China, which then they haven't actually visited in many, many years. You've got to find an excuse for that.
Right.
And the excuse they find is, well, they arrange a very hastily arranged wedding for one of the cousins in China. So they've all turned up in China to attend the wedding of this cousin, rather than to await the death of the grandmother. Somewhat strange, but that's the way it is. I mean, the wedding reception, which we actually see on screen, is somewhat amusing because there's some pretty dire attempts at karaoke by some of the family. And I don't think I've ever seen such a bewildered, happy couple at a wedding reception in all of my life, because it's something which has been arranged fairly swiftly. And they're not really sure what they're supposed to be doing.
Did the grandmother go to the wedding?
Oh, yes.
Right.
They're all there.
Yes.
Now, without doubt, the film is stolen by the grandmother. her name is Nai, and she's played by a lady called Zhou Shuzhen.
Right.
Hope my pronunciation is right. And the relationship between her and her granddaughter is probably the best part of it. It's a joy to watch. I mean, some of the byplay between them is brilliant, I've got to say that, but it's a pity that so much of it is lost in translation again, always missed in the switch between what's going on the screen and the subtitles. I come back to this all the time, and I'm sure I've missed an awful lot of it. But as a showpiece for highlighting cultural divides, the film has some interesting lessons, but boy, it's hard work.
Right. You need to go back a second time.
Yeah,
so you can just watch the movie and then
Hmm.
try and remember what you saw on the subtitles.
Yeah, but the best part of the film is saved right up until last with an unexpected happy ending. And I won't tell you
Don't
what.
tell us
I
about
won't
the
give you the
ending.
game away. But if you want to know what it is, you better go to Shoreline and see for yourself, because I'm not going to tell you.
Yes.
It's on daily now until, for the rest of this week and possibly long, because it only started yesterday.
Which part of China was it filmed in?
Didn't actually say. No.
Well, it wasn't Beijing or...
Because it was filmed in America, you don't actually see where exactly it is.
Oh, right, so it was not filmed...
Who knows?
None of it's filmed in China?
Unnamed.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, and I just thought it might have gone into one of the cities over in China. Yeah, well...
and if you look at the reverse of the schedule there, I mean, it is a difficult one to actually define and talk about. I think they give it about 1.5 lines on the synopsis.
Right. Farewell. All right. Well, something different.
It is different.
And for those who can speak both Mandarin
and English.
you'll be right into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, too right. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow on the bowling green up at Waikanai Beach.
You certainly
and you
will.
might be speaking Chinese when you throw some of those bowls up.
Oh, God, heaven forbid.
Peter Edwards with his film review from Shoreline.
Beach FM, locals talking to locals.